He right there, ignore me. I mean nothing to this program. That person right there is one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but he's also an incredible human being. And I am lucky every time he joins this program. So are you, the Hall of Famer himself, one of the NBA's greatest, technically top 50, I say top 15. Rick Barry joins me. It's an inactive offseason so far for the Warriors, Rick. So we found some other fun topics to discuss. We'll touch on the Warriors and all that other stuff a little more as well. But the Hall of Famer's with us next here in Golden.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. Leave me alone this summer.
Woo! Let's go. In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up.
Welcome to the Golden Days. Hope everyone's week's going well. Hall of Famer Rick Barry can be followed on all social media platforms at Rick24Barry. Rick, how you doing, sir? Great to see you.
Yeah, doing great. And, happy 4th of July for everybody. Celebrate 250 years, still the greatest country in the world, despite the fact that we have a lot of idiots in this country who don't think so. So we should give them a one-way ticket wherever they want to go and get them the hell out of here. And that's why I got my Warriors, but I got my Warriors with the United States flag and stuff that I like. So, I hope everybody has a enjoyable holiday weekend to celebrate. A lot of people will probably be very upset over the weekend because Trump's bill passed, all the idiots that are out there. So,
if you pay attention to that
but don't even get me going. Don't even get me going on stuff there. It's just it's such an insult to my intelligence, the way these people just lie through their teeth. And it comes on both ends of the spectrum. I mean, that's why I'm a conservative person. I'm not, a diehard Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I just want to vote for the person who I think is going to do what's best for the country and for the people.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if everybody did that and we got party politics out of it, and because the parties all want to do what's best for their party to give them control and power. That's the simple definition of what politics is all about. It's absolutely it just annoys the hell out of me. It really does. I mean, I'm just so fed up with it and insulted that they can get up and say the things that they say because they really do believe that the majority of people in the U.S. are stupid. Well, I'm not one of the stupid people, so I don't buy it. All right, let's go. I'm done.
I extend that premise. I even look at it on a grander macro scale. I include the whole world in that equation, Rick. There's a lot of
what in the world in today would we have? This world has so much to offer. Yes. What are we having wars for? Stay in your own damn country, work out something with the people who are your neighbors, try to do the best that you can to help all of your people out. Let's help one another out. The world would be such a better place if we ever did that. Unbelievable. Anyway.
Some people say what you're supposed to get more conservative as you get older. And I don't feel myself changing much, except for one thing, though. One thing, Rick, and I don't know if you'll appreciate this or not. As I've gotten older, I've come to understand and respect and appreciate the idea, the concept of freedom. Like, I think that's something that's taken for granted when you're younger. I think you don't really think about just what that means, especially when you look at the global scale and how the majority of the world does not give their citizens the freedom to literally do a show like this, for example, to express your opinions. We have that right, and that's huge. That's important. Just don't forget that, people.
Let me give you a statistic I just saw the other day that was frightening. So from 8 years ago, the number of younger Democrats who feel that the United States of America is a great country dropped from only 68% only 68%, which is kind of scary in and of itself, down to 26 or something percent. Can you believe this? That these people don't think that this is a great country? As I'm saying, if you are that stupid to believe that, then the government should give you a one-way ticket any place you want to go, and you can't come back.
And we're not here to talk politics, but I love the sentiment, sir. I agree with you 100% there. We're here to talk basketball. And for example, James Hawthorne in the chat's asking, what happened to the Bulls wanted to trade Nikola Vucevic for Jonathan Kuminga? Well, the Warriors would never do that because it's a grossly one-sided trade. The salaries won't work either. But Rick, I think there's a frustration from a lot of people within the fan base they call Dub Nation, that there's been literally no activity. I think only 2 teams in the NBA have not conducted a single transaction outside of the draft since the season ended. The Indiana Pacers are 1. They made the NBA Finals. The Golden State Warriors are 2. And I think a lot of that is – go ahead, sir.
Well, I thought there's a couple of people that were off that I just saw reading today when I was looking that supposedly it's a done deal with the Celtics.
Al Horford?
Yeah.
Nothing official yet.
Not official, but that's everybody is saying it's a done deal.
I've seen that too, but until
also,
it's official.
Also, the Pacers center supposedly signed a contract, didn't he?
With the Bucks.
Yeah.
So that's not a Pacers transaction. That's a Bucks transaction.
What's that?
That's a Milwaukee Bucks transaction. Because
yeah, what I'm saying that you said other people, the Pacers are one of them, but they just sent off one of their people, didn't they?
Well, they lost a person.
Yeah.
If the reports are true, they offered Miles Turner $22 million a year.
Yeah.
Milwaukee came in with 26, and he signed with Milwaukee, and that's that. And then the Milwaukee Bucks soon after that waived Dame Lillard, who is now an unrestricted free agent. He's not going to play next year with that torn Achilles, but he does have roots here in the San Francisco Bay Area. He's from Oakland, and the Warriors want him. That's what reports are saying. But regardless, that wouldn't matter for next year. I would still love Dame in a Warriors uniform. Long-term speaking, that would be fantastic. But for next year, you're right. There are multiple reports that are saying that if Al Horford comes back next year, we don't even know if he's going to play next year. Supposedly some other teams are also interested in him. But the Warriors are linked to Al Horford. Let's say that happens. Let's say hypothetically Al Horford does sign with the Golden State Warriors. That still leaves the Kuminga piece up in the air, which is a who knows type of thing. You still have one more roster spot to fill beyond that. DeAnthony Melton is my dream target. I'm a little surprised he's still out there. I don't know if he wants more than the veteran minimum. I don't know what the Warriors are doing in that regard. Get DeAnthony Melton, please. That is my wish list dream. Is Al Horford ideal for you, sir? He's 39. We know the championship experience. We know what Al Horford brings. He's a fantastic basketball player.
Well, he comes in and well, the thing is, if you brought him in like what Looney was doing for the Warriors to commit, you bring Horford in, you stretch the floor. You got to guard him,
right?
Because he can shoot the 3. And so it's getting a veteran player because then the stuff I'm reading and stuff I don't, I'm not following this like it's my life now anymore. But right, so Kayvon is gone, right?
That's what I'm here for, sir. Yep.
Yeah, what I'm saying, right? Kayvon is going off to greener pastures, and so they get a veteran guy. Yeah, he is older, but he's in good shape, kept himself in good shape. He can stretch the floor, so he replaces a Looney and gives you something that Looney couldn't give you, which basically when Looney was in, nobody ever guarded him.
Correct. Correct. So great. So that means you endorse it. You'd be happy with that.
I would have no issue with that for somebody to bring in certain circumstances to do something. If you wanted to stretch the floor and pull a big out, that was a guy that can cause you some issues and problems. So yeah, it gives you a little more versatility to have a stretch the floor. But of course, they already have a young guy that can do that.
Right.
But not the experience. Post. Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot more to discuss. I'm also going to visit your Wikipedia page, sir. This is something I normally do with one-time guests or guests that rarely come on. But the other day, I was looking up your Wikipedia page, sir, because we produced a promo from a show I recently did with Larry Krueger, and him and I might do a dual stream tonight as well, just talking on free agency some more. And Larry called you the greatest sire ever. It was hilarious. It was a funny a bit that we did in jest, entirely showing utmost respect to you, sir. I mean, this was all just showing praise to you for the incredible job you did, both yourself as an individual and as a father, producing 5 sons who all played in some level professional basketball. And I was doing research on your Wikipedia page, and it got me thinking, you've got a longer and much more expansive Wikipedia page than almost anyone else I've ever interviewed, had on the show. And that list is long. So we're going to play a game. Just how honest, how objectively factual is your Wikipedia page? And this is going to give us a chance to revisit some highlights in your career, sir. I'm excited for that. With all that said, let's give some love real fast to our sponsors. And there are 2 of them. First up is Decades, a cover band. Rick, you know as well as anybody, live music is the essence of the human spirit in so many ways, especially with social events, especially in the summer, the weather is nice. We could be talking about weddings here. We could be talking about anniversaries. We could be talking about anniversaries. We could be talking about a corporate event, like a fundraiser, something to boost the morale of your employees, whatever the excuse that you need for that live music, Decades has it for you. Visit decadesofficial.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram @decadesofficial. This is a band that covers everything from the 50s to today, from Chuck Berry to Katy Perry. They play all the 49ers pregame rallies next door to Levi Stadium over at Great America. They're called Red Zone Rallies, and that's the band that's playing it, Decades, and they're available for you. Email Kyle at atomicmusicgroup.com. Again, Kyle at atomicmusicgroup.com to book them, or go to decadesofficial.com. Again, decadesofficial.com. Hire them now. Thank me later. Today's episode also brought to you by BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform, where you can bet on everything from all the summer sports, golf. You can bet on UFC. You can bet on tennis. You can bet on baseball. Whatever you want to bet on. You can even bring the casino home to you. Play some blackjack. You can play some slots. Whatever you want to do gambling-wise, BetOnline has you covered. BetOnline. The game starts here. Rick, I have a quick question to ask you.
Real quick, I got to say something about Decades. If
Please.
Decades was located in Florida, I would give serious consideration to having them play at my son's wedding, which will be next June. My son Canyon is going to get married in Florida. Because, I mean, I love that kind of music, those stuff. They can do all the different things because they're going to eventually play something that everybody can relate to.
Yes, sir.
I mean, so it's kind of cool. So
yes,
anyway.
sir. Absolutely. Well, I'll try to
And
see.
if I had played in the NBA 10 or 15 years later and had those 3 extra zeros on my contract, I probably would hire him anyway and just fly him out there.
just for a random shindig, just a backyard rager. Let's get some live music on board. Absolutely. If anybody with serious cash is watching this and just wants to hire a band for a little shindig of yours, decades.com, decadesofficial.com. The band's name is Decades. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at decadesofficial. To the best of your knowledge, Rick, I know free agency has changed a lot from your days as a player. And in case people aren't familiar,
Excuse
you are
me.
one of the
I started free agency.
I was going to say that. You're one of the revolutionaries, sir. Can you enlighten people one more time? Let's revisit that for a second. Why are you why should NBA players pay homage to you, or at the bare minimum, just show you a little respect for paving the way for all these players today, making the tens of millions, some of them hundreds of millions? What did you do that ushered in free agency back in the 70s?
Well, back in those days, in the 60s, actually, in the 60s, it was there was the thing called the reserve clause that baseball had, and also the NBA had a reserve clause, which is basically it's a contract of perpetuity. I mean, if you sign that first contract for 1 year, at the end of the year, if you don't negotiate a new contract for the next year, you're obligated to play the next year at 90% of what you played for the first year. So basically, like they were saying, it's almost like a contract, like you signed your life away. And so, I didn't necessarily do it to try to be the trailblazer and do it. I wanted to leave and everything because I had an incredible season. I had a great first year. I had an even more incredible second year, almost won the championship, 2 pick and roll plays with Nate Thurman and Wilt Chamberlain, that if they go our way instead of theirs, we win in 6 games. Right. Led the league in scoring, MVP of the All-Star game. I mean, so many things going on. 2-time I came in as a rookie, made first team All-Pro. And then, but I didn't have a great time. Unfortunately, God rest his soul, Bill Sharm, wonderful man. But when it came to basketball, I mean, basketball had always been my life and it had been fun for me. It wasn't a job. He really almost made it like a job. No days off, these morning freaking shoot-arounds, these things that it was, for me not to have enjoyed that year. That should have been the best year of my life sports-wise. Fortunately, I had 1975 that we were able to replace that because I still have nightmares from 1967. And so I wanted to leave. And so I took the position that this was an option clause. And the Warriors, and I think this is the NBA, got really upset with Frank Lemulli and the owner back then. They took the position it was an option clause, which meant they have the option for my services for the next year. And so, okay, great. I'll give you that year. And I sat out. I didn't play. I played for the KYA Radio Wonders with Johnny Holiday, who was my son Scooter's godfather, and played to raise money for local school alumni and stuff, going around playing and feeding Johnny, taking 30 shots a game. And I still dear friends with Johnny. He's back in Washington, D.C., very, very successful guy back there. And so that's what I did for a whole season. I look back and I say, what an idiot. That's what happens when you're young. You do stupid stuff. I mean, I gave away one of the best. I just had 2 of the greatest years ever in professional sports and basketball, and I didn't play for a year. And so, anyway, that changed everything because it gave the people an opportunity with their contracts to have the option which opened up the door to be able to move and train and change teams. And then, of course, for the younger people, then Spencer came along with Spencer Haywood with being able to get out of school early, because the deal was, if you went to the draft, you were only eligible to be drafted by the NBA after your senior year in college. Then you were eligible for the draft. And then they changed it, and they got the thing for, the early entry stuff. And that's what Spencer Haywood went in and fought with that. And that changed everything. Then the collective bargaining agreement, they came to an agreement where you have to be a certain age, and then you have what you have. And then all of a sudden now, with all of the, oh my God, the ramifications, you got to be some kind of a financial genius to figure out all of this stuff with the salary caps and this and this and that. And that's why when all this stuff is going on, like, I get I'm just listening to what the new thing with Mike Brown with the Knicks. Great guy. I like Mike. He's a super guy. Great experience. It's an amazing opportunity. I'm happy to see him get that job. The Knicks are lucky, I think, to get him, because I heard through the grapevine that the players didn't relate really well to Tibbs. Okay. Tibbs was some back old school. He's really he doesn't relate well to the players. Mike Brown, I think, does that. He's also good about knowing defense, and he showed you. I mean, he was, coach of the year a couple of times. His teams are known for their defense. Then they had the best offense with Sacramento the one year. So the guy knows what he's doing. So I think it's a great thing. But then I have to listen to all of the talk.
And the Warriors, right, Rick? I mean, he was the assistant.
Yeah, with the Warriors with Steve Kerr. I mean, come on. He was with Steve Kerr. He's with Phil Jackson.
Well, and just to add to that, Rick, everything I ever heard, because Mike Brown was very relatable with the media. And he's actually a source for a lot of people. Maybe I divulged too much information right there. But he was, everything I saw and heard is that his entire life is basketball. He's the guy who sleeps on his couch in the office. He's the guy who calls his wife and kids and says, sorry, I got another all-nighter at the gym. That's him. He's work ethic is prime with this man. And I don't think you say that about every coach.
He has a veteran team that really, with all the situation and the injuries with Tatum and other things going on, I mean, the expectations are that they should get to the finals again and win. Hopefully go to the finals of the NBA. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals. And realistically, that's not asking too much of that team. I would think that team should be able to do that, all things considered. If guys come out, play well, they don't have any injuries, then that's the expectations he has to deal with. And he keeps saying the pressure of this. Well, it's not pressure. And, again, you go back to my whole thing. It's not going to feel pressure. He knows there's great expectations for him to take this team back to the finals. So if you have confidence in yourself and your abilities, that's not pressure for you. It shouldn't be pressure. You should be looking forward to the challenge. And I think that Mike will do that. But getting back to the point I was trying to make. So I'm listening to all these different talking heads coming on and saying, well, this and that and everything. What the hell do they know? How do they know if Mike Brown's going to be good or bad? He has the job. Let's evaluate him when the season comes, see how he does. Now you can talk about something meaningful. All the other stuff, like I've done this before. Speculation. It's like just trying to use time so I can get paid and fill my hour or 2 or 3 hours that I'm on the air so that I can talk bullshit and have an opinion about something that you really might not know very much about.
Right. and some people in the chat are bringing up the Sacramento Kings, Browns' former stopping point, as a potential sign and trade destination for Jonathan Kuminga. And I'll say this again about Kuminga, because it needs to be emphasized in all these discussions. The Golden State Warriors, their front office, they're not idiots, all right? They're not going to let an asset as valuable as Kuminga go unless they're getting equal value back. And so, like, for example, some of the chat is saying, like, Ahmad Z. And I know why you're saying this, because there's some chatter about Dario Saric, who ended up recently with the Kings in a trade for their former backup center, Vucevic. Valanciunas. I apologize. Who, side note, Valanciunas is contemplating going to play in Europe because he might get paid more money than to stay in the NBA. Fascinating stuff, the NBA offseason. But my whole point is, if the Warriors are going to do a sign and trade with the Kings, hypothetically, it's not going to be for Dario Saric. The only asset I really see with the Kings that I think would actually light up the Warriors' eyes would be Sabonis. Like, if you're talking Domantas Sabonis for Kuminga, now we have a conversation. I still don't know if that's something the Warriors would say yes to, but anything you want to add to that, Rick?
No, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, it's ridiculous to give away somebody who definitely has some potential. He hasn't developed as fast as I'd like to have seen him develop. Right. He hasn't made like major strides, but to his credit, he has gotten better. Okay. His 3-point shooting has gotten better. I've always liked him. We talked about him. I remember when he was a rookie, saw him in summer league, and, he can see the floor. He can create some things. He's athletic as could be. He attacks the basket. I really like that. So definitely a valuable commodity to have, but to give him up for somebody who can't give you something super important for your team to reach the level of a championship would be foolish. And I agree 100. There's only one guy on Sacramento that I can't believe that the Warriors would say no. If the Kings were crazy enough to do that and take Kuminga and give up, I mean, he just signed a new contract, I think, as well with the Kings, if I'm not mistaken.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Sabonis.
Sort of a new contract, but
whatever. All I'm saying, if they could get him, I can't imagine that they wouldn't want him. I mean, that's the one kink in the armor. It's the one kink in the armor for the Warriors. They haven't really had a center that can do the kind of things that he can do. I mean, come on. I mean, this guy, for those people who don't know, his dad was one hell of a player. And most people never even got a chance to see how good his father was, because they saw his father when he came over after two Achilles tendon injuries, and came over here and became an all-star player. Think about that.
And you're referring to Arvydas Sabonis.
Arvydas Sabonis is that.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw him play when I was doing broadcasting after I retired. Oh, my God, to have 2 Achilles things and come over here and still be good enough to make the NBA All-Star team?
Yeah, well, and he was part of that the conference finals Blazers. Oh, he played even at the later stage of his career. He was still playing, Rick, and that was, you're right, like you said, following both Achilles, right?
Yes.
I think it was the left and the right. Whew, that's craziness.
Unbelievable.
Here's another thing I think is important to emphasize to the fan base as well in all these negotiations, and the thought process that goes behind this when it comes to Jonathan Kuminga and who you're going to trade him for. Like, for example, let me bring that back up here. I just had a trade that, like, Brian_RT is asking, is it possible for example, for Moses Moody and Kuminga to be traded for Herb Jones and Trey Murphy? Now you're talking. Like, that's a trade that I think hypothetically the Warriors would at least entertain. And this brings up the other point I want to emphasize. And I don't know, and please let me know, Rick, if you think this is astute or otherwise. Whoever the Warriors hypothetically trade Kuminga for, if they do decide to sign and trade him, it's got to be someone that keeps things interesting if Stephen Curry's not playing. And what I mean by that is Stephen Curry turns 38 this year. We saw what happens when you push him too far. He in the recent postseason with the hamstring injury. He can't, an individual that age, I don't think it's even realistic to place an emphasis on him, to place the burden on him of carrying a team at that age. And the thinking with the Warriors, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, is if we're going to let go of Kuminga, it better be for someone who still gives us hope, who still keeps things relevant and interesting if Stephen Curry goes down with an injury, because his days are numbered. Would you agree or disagree that that's part of the thinking for any sign and trade with Kuminga? Because Kuminga does keep things interesting, even if Stephen Curry does not play.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it has to be something of significance. I mean, because you're giving up someone who has shown that he has value to the team and the things that he can do. The problem being, I think where the real issue comes is what happened with the statement that Steve made last year when he doesn't see a way for him to fit in with that rotation. I mean, that was kind of a shocker to me to see him say that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was great.
Seriously. So, that's going to be a big factor. I personally, in my gut, is saying that they're doing everything they can to look and explore what potential there may be out there, because if I don't think Steve has had a 180 on what he said about that, and all of a sudden he believes that he is really going to be great to do that. I mean, I still think that there's some doubt in his mind as to how well he's going to fit in with what he's trying to accomplish. So you have to get somebody of significant value to be able to come in there. And I would agree, it doesn't necessarily have to be a guard.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but it has to be somebody who can give you something special that you can rely on, that can come in and get you 20, 30 on any night to help out. And then the fact is to be there. I mean, yeah, you need to have that. Here's the thing. Ideally with a team, you want to have 3 guys who can get you 25 or more a night if needed, to give you the consistency and offense. And when the Warriors had that, they had that.
Yeah.
They had it on a very high level with KD, with Steph and Clay. I mean, how the hell do you guard that team? I mean, seriously. I mean, most teams have maybe one, maybe two guys are good individual defenders, but nobody has three guys that are great individual defenders, and the team's a great team defense as well. I mean, that's why that team was just off the freaking charts. First of all, Kevin Durant is unguardable. He can get shot anytime he wants. He was unbelievable. I still have my picture that I showed people with him holding his MVP trophy when we were on the parade, and he did it. And he dwarfs me. I mean, absolutely dwarfs me. And just such a talent, such a talent. And then you have two of the greatest long distance 3-point shooters in the history of the game. Oh my heavens. And to Clay's credit, he wasn't the guy that could do it. Then all of a sudden he started driving to the basket, do stuff. Two guys who could shoot the long distance, could shoot the mid-range, and were great free throw shooters. How do you guard that? You don't.
You don't. You know what? A paid chat is the best way to get your message across. We're a business, and we will read it if you give us money. Brooklyn Opinion drops $4.99. Thank you for writing. If we trade Kuminga for low ceiling players and we don't make a conference finals or finals next year, then Kerr has to go because that way ain't working. He might go regardless. Stephen Curry's days are numbered, and I feel like they're tied at the hip together. Like whatever Steph does, Kerr does. That's my guess. That's the impression I'm getting. Anything you want to add to that, Rick? To Brooklyn?
Well, the thing about it is he's done this for a long time. Basketball has been a part of his life. He's had an incredible career. Was an outstanding player on one of the great teams of all time with the Bulls. Great shooter. I still remember, Steve, because I did the World Championships and broadcast when he was over there playing in Spain. And then, obviously incredible record as a coach and the success that he's had as a coach. I don't know how you can really, these guys that, again, the talking heads out there question all the stuff he's doing. With the success that he's had, how the hell do you question him? I mean, geez, oh, peas. And here, he still even had it when they brought Jimmy in. This team, if Steph hadn't gotten hurt, I think the Warriors would have had a shot to get to the finals.
Agreed. That injury was devastating. And yeah, at least from my perspective, my critique is more about the last 6 years because those first 5 years were just impeccable. I don't know what you could say really. But there you go, Brooklyn Opinion. And again, I think the Warriors front office is astute enough to be aware that Jonathan Kuminga is an asset. You don't just give him up and get.
Steve might be ready to call it quits. He's got enough money to live 50 lifetimes. He just may want to go.
You know what's funny, by the way? I was making that promo with involving you and your 5 sons who've all played professional basketball, and I was looking at Scooter Berry highlights from the NCAA championship. He was on the Kansas team with it wasn't who was
my fist pump when he made the free throw.
But who was the best player on the team? Danny Manning. Danny Manning, yes.
Yeah, who went to the Clippers.
Yes, sir. Who went to the Clippers.
You see the clip of me?
I was blown away because you were in the crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the clip of me doing the fist pump?
Yes. It's in the promo. That
turned out to be the winning free throw.
Yeah, correct. And it was the only point he scored in that game, but it was the most important, right? Because it was the game. It was a game changing. It was a difference. It was a clutch free throw that he made to seal the deal for the national title. But I bring that moment up because when I was trying to find that clip, the TV cameraman kept panning to all the different faces in the crowd. And it was just basketball royalty. Like Steve Kerr was in the crowd with his buddies. Mike Krzyzewski, whose Duke team was not playing in that title game, was in the crowd. You were in the crowd. And there's a whole bunch of names I'm forgetting, but that was a big deal. I don't know if we see that now. Maybe we do still. I don't know. But I just any memories that evokes?
Oh, well, I was just so happy for Scooter to be able to have the opportunity to do that. And then we become another answer to a trivia question. First father to be on an NBA championship team and the son on an NCAA championship team. That's another one. A lot of trivia stuff with the Barrys. So yeah, interesting, but it was great. And I got to be down there. And when the security guards recognized me, so he let me go onto the court so I can go out and see him when he was on the court. Very happy for him. And then I'll tell you a cute story after. So after it's over, next day before I go, I'm going to go to the airport, whatever. I felt like getting a yogurt and stuff. And so I drove through one of the drive-through yogurts, and I go to pay at the window, and this guy's looking at me saying, Scooter Barry's father.
No shit. Oh my God.
That was so great. I mean, Scooter Barry's father. He's always, Rick Barry's son. No, it was Scooter Barry's father.
Where was this?
In Kansas City.
Well, that was okay. That makes sense. I was going to ask, is he, because certain athletes achieve royalty level status depending on the city you're in. Like Rick, for example, if you're here in San Francisco, something tells me if you go to House of Prime Rib, you're going to be treated like a king and you're not going to pay for that meal. Correct me if I'm wrong. They should do that.
You're
anyways.
wrong. That's okay.
well, certain they should. Certain players do have that gravity. Does Scooter, when he's in Lawrence, Kansas, or near there, is he still revered? Because the national title
they
there.
still recognize him. He's gone back to Lawrence for a number of different things, and the Potts family, when they're back there, who kind of like, they had families that kind of look out for the players and stuff. And the NCAA, in their infinite stupidity, cracked down on that and said you can't be doing that because the other students don't have a chance. What the hell? I mean, what is wrong with having a family so that they can, you can go over and have a dinner occasionally, be around a family environment? What a wonderful thing to do. Oh, the NCAA. Oh, no, that's a special privilege. I mean, how stupid is that? But I remember the Potts family, really wonderful people. And so you get recognized when you do certain things. You're not anything special. You're just someone who was fortunate enough to have done something that people enjoyed watching you do. And I thank God every day for it.
And the memories that you've created for them. Right. I mean,
but I tell them, I said, as much as you enjoy the memories you have, trust me, mine are even better.
And Rick, when it's the other way around, when the memory is heartbreaking, is it far more painful for you than the fans? I try not to think. Fortunately, I have the compartmentalization ability to put things in the back burner. I don't think about stuff that makes me sad. If it pops up and everything, I say, "Oh, that's enough. Get back there. I don't want to think about you anymore." I mean, I'm thinking about certain plays that happen. I can remember like that. It's like yesterday. I mean, we're talking, we're talking 50 years ago or more. I mean, 60 years. I mean, it's like crazy, and they're so vivid in my mind. I mean, it's such a special thing. I mean, it's kind of like trying to put into words when you experience something in life that is so meaningful to you. It's impossible. It's kind of like, how do I explain what it was when I got to see some of my children actually being born? Words aren't adequate to describe the feelings I was overcome with. The same thing with when we won the championship and some of the things in my life that have happened. Words are just inadequate to explain what you feel. It's it's unbelievable. I mean, it's kind of what happens to your body, when you have a great orgasm, your body and mind and everything is like, how do you explain that? You have to experience it. And that's the power of sports, where you can connect.
And it's the power of life.
And the power of life, where you can connect the euphoria of some of your greatest pleasures personally with sports. That's the power that it brings to you.
And words do not get the job done. I mean, it's just, I could try to think of the greatest words ever and do word search, get AI to help me out, but the words would still not be the same. It wouldn't be, It's just, you just got to be lucky enough to experience stuff like that occasionally in life. I hope some of you have those experiences.
Yes, sir. And I hope you folks out, especially in the summer, those experiences, the opportunities for those experiences are much more bountiful this time of year than the winter, when most of the world is hiding to stay warm. So get out there, have fun, just be safe, folks. That's always the advice I give. Just make sure you can wake up the next day without serious regrets.
Don't drink and drive. Don't do drugs and drive.
Yes, sir. My creed has always been just whatever you do, don't affect others with your actions.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I would say, unless you are a masochist or you're a sadist, treat everyone the way that you would like to be treated.
The golden rule. Yes, absolutely. Yes. It's so simple, yet for whatever reason, it's just lost on so many people nonetheless. Do you want to visit your Wikipedia page?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So I have Rick Barry's Wikipedia page, which is stacked. Okay. Like most people I interview in life, their Wikipedia pages are a few paragraphs, maybe got a couple sections. Yours is like a goddamn book, and for good reason, because there's so much to cover. So I'm going to ask some questions of you, sir, that are based off your Wikipedia page, and you will tell myself and the audience whether it's accurate or inaccurate. And if you want to add anything to it, please do. First up, is it true, Rick, that you are the only player to lead the NCAA, the ABA, and the NBA in points per game in a season?
Yes, true.
Wow. And how many are in the, if you take the ABA part of that, how many are in the club where it's just NCAA and NBA? Do you know?
Probably none. It's like, seriously. And you know, I know you're going to come up with a lot of stuff, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff that in the last 10 years or more, since we've become so statistically oriented and AI and stuff, I have learned more about things I did in my career that I had no idea, because when I played, all I cared about was one thing. Did we win?
Yeah. And
Right?
that represents
Did
a great
we
picture.
win? And there's so many other things that I see my name popping up, like when USA Today was doing stuff, and somebody does something, and all of a sudden they have a big story about him, and he joined so and so, and there's my name. Oh, I did that. I had no idea.
That's good. And again, this postseason, once again, you were all over the place with these records that still stand to this day. It's incredible. Here's another one. Some of these are going to be obvious and easy, but it'll give you a chance to maybe revisit memory lane. Wikipedia claims your wife, Lynn Nordenberg Berry, was a star basketball player at the College of William and Mary, where she became the first female athlete to have her jersey number 22, retired. True or false?
The only one to have her jersey retired.
Wow. First and only.
Yeah, just incredible. My wife is an incredible athlete. Yeah,
Incredible.
she and Canyon are in the history of the NCAA are the only mother and son to be first team academic All-Americas.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Very
Here's
proud.
another one. This goes back to when you were a child, sir. Wikipedia. So we all know that you're Willie Mays. You practically idolized the man. You number 24. You wore in your career because of Willie Mays. In your early life, you were a baseball player first, and then a basketball player, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that
Correct.
part of it. Is this true or not? Wikipedia claims you once skipped school to shake Willie Mays' hand at the Polo Grounds in Upper Manhattan, where the Giants played, not far from your home.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's like one of my great stories ever. I mean, so I was in parochial school, and the PAL, they had a teachers convention for the public schools, and they were having a really early game at the Polo Grounds. The Giants were playing, so they had this trip going. So I cut school to go on that trip so that I could go to watch Willie play. And then the Polo Grounds didn't have the dugouts in the dugout along first and third base side. They had their clubhouse up in center field, and there were stairs that would go up to center field to where the clubhouse was. So the game was over. Willie was in center field, and the game's over, and I'm in left field. I dropped off the wall, hung, and sprinted to get to him before he got to the stairs, shook his hand, and then I had to run fast to go back and avoid all of the security people to go and get pulled up with my friends to get out of there and get on a bus and come back home. And so I come back home, and I go to my house, and go to the house, and my brother Dennis is there, and he says, "So how was the game?" I said, "What are you talking about? I was in school." He says, "No, you weren't." I said, "Yeah, I was in school." He said, "No, you weren't. I saw you on television." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah. At the end of the game, they zoomed on this kid that jumped down from the wall in left field, sprinted out to Willie Mays. They zoomed in, and it was you." I said, "Oh my God, don't tell mom or dad, will you please?" And he didn't. He didn't tell my parents, so I got away with it. So, and then to go from that, from my hero to shake his hands, to become personal friends with Willie Mays, and to be asked to be a part of his 80th birthday celebration when he was working for Bally's Casino and hotel in Atlantic City. They were having the big 80th birthday celebration, and his guy calls me up and says, "Rick, Willie wants you to be one of the 3 guys that are going to speak at the function." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, no, he wants you to be there, but only 3 people are speaking. He wants you to be the first guy, and he wants you to tell the story of how you first met him." And that's what I did. So I get up in front of packed like 3,000 people in the ballroom. I can't even express what an honor is, but I know one thing. I bet that I know exactly what every single one of you right now is thinking. What the hell is he doing here? and I said, I'm trying to think the same thing. And I told the story about how that happened, how I got to meet Willie. What a country, right?
Well, how old were you when this happened?
I was in elementary school.
And was this like in-game action? Like you interrupted a game to go up?
No, the game was over at the 9th inning.
Okay,
at the end of the game, I jumped off to go get it before he got to the clubhouse stairs.
That's incredible. That is incredible. I'm going to skip ahead now to your second year in the NBA. And I don't know if this is I don't think this is controversial at all. I'm bringing this up more so just to hear your story about it, your remembrance of it. Your second year in the NBA, Wikipedia claims you captured the 1967 NBA All-Star Game MVP with a 38-point outburst as the West stunned the East team that featured Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, Bill Russell, and head coach Red Auerbach, and you also led the NBA in scoring that season, averaging 35.6 points per game, which ranks as the 8th highest single season points per game average in NBA history. Anything to add to that? Is that true?
That's no 3-point shot. There's other guys now that have 3-point shots involved in that. But yeah, that happened. That was incredible. In fact, actually, my big thing after that happened, I always was of the opinion that when an All-Star game really was a game and was a competitive game, now it's not. Is that they should always have 2 awards. There should be a most outstanding player and the MOP and the MVP, because they're not necessarily the same. And in that game, the most outstanding player in our team was Nate Thurman. The most valuable, the most outstanding player was the year I had 38 points. But Bill Russell and Jerry Lucas, I think, were their front line. And we had Nate Thurman, me, and I think it might have been Dave DeBuscher, who was the other forward and stuff. So, I mean, and Nate just had such a great game, was such a critical element for us to be able to win. And so, but yeah, that's what happened. I remember it was at the Cow Palace. A lot of memories there.
The Cow Palace, which I believe is still there, incredibly.
It is still there. In fact, I did a big feature about it from last year with the All-Star game. They went and I did a whole big thing, went around. They did all kinds of videos, and it was kind of cool to go back up into the locker rooms. I mean, I had a lot of memories there. And then we wound up playing our finals there because in 75. Because they never thought we were going to make the playoffs. I mean, nobody cared. They said we suck. We're not going to be any good. And so they rented out the Oakland Coliseum arena. The Oakland arena was rented out. I think it was for the Ice Capades, if I'm not mistaken. And so we had to play over at the Cow Palace, which I was happy with because I loved the baskets there. I used to call them sewer pipes because they didn't have collapsible rims back then. And those baskets were really good. I love those baskets.
I love all this. Moving forward, you brought up the 1967 NBA Finals. This was your second year in the NBA. You were part of a Warriors team that made it to the finals. According to Wikipedia, you averaged 40.8 points per game in that series. Let me repeat that real fast. Rick, in the NBA Finals, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there was no 3-point shot at this stage of the game either.
No.
You averaged 40.8 points per game in the NBA Finals. This was a record that stood for nearly 3 decades. And this is the part of the specificity that I'm curious to know if it's true or not. Wikipedia claims you did all this while playing on a bulky left knee that required a corticosteroid injection prior to tip-off, which forced you to miss all or part of pre-game warm-ups.
No, actually what it was is I had a really severely sprained left ankle, and I had to get shot before the game and at halftime for the entire series, and I couldn't practice. And that record stood for a long time, and it's still the record if you were to get specific. The only reason Michael Jordan barely beat me is that he played one of the 6 games. This is for a 6-game series. He played one of the games. He had an overtime game and scored 8 points. Without the overtime, he would not have the record.
Are you still second to this day?
Yep.
And if you take away and discounting overtime games, you still own the record for greatest single.
And I think to myself, what the hell could I have done if I could have practiced and I was 100% healthy? And actually, they would never allow me to do that. Now, I was crazy to do that. I'm lucky I didn't ruin my career playing
because of those shots.
Well, because I couldn't feel I couldn't feel it. I was numbed up. Played the whole game. Beginning the game and halftime, and then I got into a thing with Bill Sharman because wanted me to practice. I said, "Shit, Bill, you should be happy that I'm willing to get shot to play the games. Yeah, I'm not going to get shot up to practice."
Times have changed. Wilt Chamberlain was quoted in this same topic here. Wilt Chamberlain was quoted about you after the series saying, "Quote: The guy was so good that we had to have 3 different guys guard him at different times because he would run them all ragged," unquote.
Yeah, I was in great shape. I would run the hills in San Francisco, and I was in great shape. I could run forever. And I could play without the ball. And in fact, my first year, because Guy Rogers was our point guard, one of the great point guards and all, and I know he wanted assists. And so, that's why Bill King, our great announcer, named me the Miami Greyhound.
Right. Incredible. Yeah. Oh my God. This is amazing. So when you see all the off-ball movement and when you see Stephen Curry, how he's excelled at running other people off the court, not necessarily with this on-ball movement, but off, does that resonate with you at a special level?
that's a critical part of the game, to be able to do that, move without the basketball and get yourself open and understand it. My sons did that well. In fact, one time I remember when Canyon was playing in college, that one of the announcers said Canyon Barry may be the best player in college basketball moving without the ball. Unfortunately, he played for a team that the point guard that started the game didn't really get him the ball, but the guy who came in off the bench, who should have been the starting point guard, he and Canyon had great chemistry, and he would get him the ball when he'd make the back cuts. And John was really smart, so when he was playing with Jerry Stackhouse with the Pistons and stuff, John would be out let's say on the left wing, out there kind of free throw line a little bit in the left wing. Stackhouse would be going, he'd take a guy and he'd drive baseline. John would run to the baseline when this guy did run to the baseline. So if Stack got in trouble, he could throw a pass under the basket all the way to him. You always should be moving in basketball. You should always have ball. They say ball man relationship on defense. It should be ball man relationship on offense as well. And you need to move. And what you do is you create passing lanes for your teammate who has the ball so that he doesn't have to throw over, through, or it's whatever people. You try to move to a spot where he has an open spot to get the ball to you if he gets in trouble. That's just good, intelligent basketball. And I try to teach my boys that, and they did it exceptionally well. All of them did. And I learned that from my dad, who was a semi-pro player and coach. And that's something that's kind of missing in today's game for a lot of people.
By the way, your former producer, one of my best friends, Sam Batesh, literally calling me right now. So when I call him back, I'll
tell Sammy I said hello.
I will.
Sammy was great because Sammy knew all about hockey. So when I had to do all this hockey stuff, I would rely on Sam. Sam, what the hell's going on with that?
You had an all-star lineup of producers.
I did. RC is
RC Davis, Mike Kohler, who's now the PD,
working for the Warriors for years. He was working on them for years.
Still there. Yeah. Is it true, Rick? Wikipedia claims that you took a year off in protest. And again, that year off in protest helped pave the way for all the rights that players today get to enjoy.
I wouldn't say in protest. It was a matter of principle. This is the same thing. Like, I left the Warriors. I didn't want to leave the Warriors. I love the Warriors.
Right.
Over $10,000 difference in salary. It's like, Rick, I can't believe that you're leaving over $10,000. Scotty Sterling says, Scotty, I think you got it backwards. I can't believe you're willing to let me go over $10,000. And I think
that's the other side of it. Yeah.
That's the other side of it. Think about it. It's $10,000. And then the Warriors, I think, went 13 years without making the playoffs after I left.
They never. It took them, realistically, Rick. It took them 40 years to get over you. 40.
Anyway,
incredible. So you briefly played for the Oakland Oaks, and is it true, Rick, that as part of your deal playing for the Oaks, you got? I just had it right here. Is it true that you got 15% ownership of the Oaks? And if that is true, what happened with that? Did you get a check for that?
It wasn't worth diddly squat. The worst part about it is I could have had 5% ownership in the Warriors and turned it down years ago. But it wasn't worth hardly anything back then. My friend wanted to buy the team for $18 million. You could have bought the Warriors for it.
So many.
They're worth probably now with the Lakers selling for $10 billion. The Warriors, they were worth like $5 or $6 billion. They're probably worth $8 to $10 billion right now. And I could have had 5% ownership, and I turned it down. So it just shows.
I didn't realize what time it was. We'll do a part 2 another day of Wikipedia, because your page is ridiculously long. I barely scratched the surface. We'd be here all day doing this. We'll resume at another time. We're at the Oakland Oaks. That's where we hit the pause button for today. Rick, anything you'd like to promote? Anything you want to mention? I wish we had Warriors news to share, but this is a holding pattern right now, and interesting to see what happens. But at the moment, not much to report. But Rick,
if you got pain and problems, go to medicilleaf.com, medicilleaf.com. The code is RB24. If you want to get the greatest sleeves with kinesio tape built in, go to gosleeves.com. RB24 is the code. If you want to get a great this is a new paddle that's out called Titan Pickleball that I'm doing some things with. That they're like introductory paddle, like they're $80 paddle. It's as good as some of the paddles that are out there selling for $175 to $200. Great technology in it. Ken Tran, who's the owner of the company, used to be with Takea, and I'm really thrilled to be there. I use the Titan, the Titan Pro 16L. They have a 14L as well, and they have other brands as well. But Titan Pickleball, and if you go in there, you go TPRB, and you can get a nice code for that as well. So I'm really excited about about that and a whole bunch of other things I'm involved in, but I don't want to go into it. It'd take too long to do it. I just hope everybody has a blessed Memorial Day weekend, and not Memorial Day, but a great Independence Day weekend, and be safe and just appreciate the fact that you're in such a wonderful country, that you have the freedoms, as you brought up earlier, to do the things that we're allowed to do here. And let's just try to get together and stop trying to find fault in everything that the other side does. If you're a Republican, try not to find fault in all the Democrats, what they do, and the Democrats stop doing it here, because I'm not either a Democrat or a Republican. I just want what's best for the people in the country. So God bless everybody.
I think that's a safe and sound approach, sir. And happy 4th to everyone as well. And Rick, people can follow you again on all social media platforms. I think Instagram is where you're most active. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But regardless of what the social media platform is, at Rick24Berry is how people can find you. And I think we're done. That's it. Thank you, sir. Thank you to everyone. We'll be back at this soon. Bye-bye.
I try to get you.
I'm sorry. You were saying? I came back. What's up?
No, I said just try to get your dog to behave better, will you?
I was telling folks before we started, my English bulldog has an attitude, and he'll sometimes just take a piss if he's unhappy with me on his own bed, even sometimes. Come on, Bubba. Anyways, thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.